Hello, everybody. Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to talk a little bit about things that went on over the weekend with the No Kings protests around the country. Now, I didn't watch any of it because I'm not really interested, but I like to kind of see like the highlights of what people talked about and what news was portrayed and how the story was told, what was left out, what was put in, what was emphasized, what was repeated, what was, recycled and put back out again, type of things. Usually when these things happen, the talking points sort of rise to the top in the editor's desk, and those are the featured word tags and things like that that get put out there. So it kind of helps embed these names, these words, into the psychology of the molten masses, as we like to call them. So, the wokesters. So, I was having breakfast this morning at a table with a group of gentlemen in town, kind of like one of these little confabs where the guys get together for bacon and eggs in the morning, and by the time we're done, we've solved all the world's troubles. So, but we were sitting there, and a couple of Amish guys were sitting at the table next to me, and we were talking about the No Kings stuff. And the one gentleman, he offered in, he says, well, one thing's for sure about your No Kings protesters. I said, what's that? He says, none of them have mirrors in their home. They must be Amish. I just laughed and said, what do you mean they have no mirrors? He says, look at them. He says, it looks like none of them look to see what they look like when they walked out of the house. He said, Amish, we don't have mirrors because of vanity. He says, but each and every one of our women in our homes knows what a polished silver plate can do before you go out. So he was kind of hitting the mark right on the head, and we all had a pretty good laugh about that. And it brought up an obvious reasoning that I had with this, that these people that were involved in these No Kings rallies, by far and away, were older. They were well over 45 years old as a general group block, as you might want to record things. And I would submit that a lot of these people don't have anyone in their life that they can take care of or give affection to. I think a lot of these people have become lonely in their existence. Their kids have grown up, moved on, or if they had kids, and then maybe they're not talking to mom and dad as much or at all, and the grandkids don't have any real interest in grandparents except for gift days, things like this. They're just not connecting. They're not having overlap of agreement in principle on certain things, the building blocks of family and society. So this disconnect has happened, and so nobody really cares about what grandma and grandpa have to say. They're people that may have not got in on the protests of the 1970s, because I would submit that they were actually too young, as I was at that time, to participate in those things. But I was watching, and a lot of us kids as 10 and 12-year-olds were watching what was going on. We weren't participating, but we were trying to figure out, is there a good guy? Is there a bad guy? Is my brother a bad guy? He seems fine, but then he goes out and does this. And then you find out, well, he was just trying to be a part of the group. And so this was how the group at that time was socializing. I think a lot of that same thing happened here with these things here over the weekend. I think a lot of these people got out in their crazy outfits, and they were able to be seen, which is what they were looking for. They want to be noticed. They want to have people give them regard. But their efforts to be seen by the rest of the group or the other people around them really turned into more of about a tantrum effect and a lashing out, a baby moment, when it was all about me. It wasn't about wanting to be seen, but they wanted to turn this event into like it was about them. And this was their coming out party. And what was the result of all of this? Well, by the time these people went home at night, they were alone again. Everything they did that day was really for naught. I don't think any of them really came out with any accomplishment that they can put forward. They just went out and had a rally and were able to put the camera and the attention on me, look at me, you know, kind of like what they do at gay pride parades, is who can be the most outlandish in the moment. So they were out doing these things, and I don't think it really accomplished anything except maybe, you know, soothe them a little bit in that moment. So, but while this is all going on, there was obvious truth versus fiction, the juxtaposition of the two. As I was watching highlights of news, I was watching protesters in Iran and in other countries, in Venezuela. They were protesting also. A lot of the news didn't catch that. Well, the protesters in these two countries that had authoritarian monarchs, dictators, well, I don't know if one's a monarch. I don't know what the Ayatollah is, but anyway, supreme leader, whatever you want to call him, versus Maduro, who was basically, totalitarian. The people out protesting in the streets in both of these countries weren't flying flags of communists. No bar and sickle to be seen. No Sharia-type demands in their protests. No Islamic symbols. What they did feature by far and away was a U.S. flag. And these people in these countries praising the efforts of the United States in coming in and helping to let them be free. There weren't any bars and sickles. Not in the foreign countries. Now in this country, this latest No Kings thing, which, by the way, was paid for mostly by billionaires, one in China, and then George Soros and his group here. But what a lot of people don't know about the No Kings movements and these other things, that a lot of these things are financed and organized by offshoots of NGOs, or non-governmental organizations. They got all this money from the Biden administration to do the human trafficking to bring in these millions of now considered illegal immigrants that were brought in under a false program that the Biden administration put out to allow, people to come in. Oh, they're in such trouble. Well, they should have just gone to the next country over if they wanted to find safety. They didn't have to go 13 countries away. But that's not how we are today. So back to these flag situations. The people over in the foreign countries who have just been basically released from these oppressions and these killings, or at least it's on its way to it, they're flying U.S. flags, saying, we want that, please help us. But here they were flying pride flags, communist flags, other things like that. They were flying Palestinian flags, all this other stuff of oppressors, of Hamas, of people that want to kill you. Given a chance, they will do it. It's in their code. You should believe them. So we've got these NGOs are participating along with these billionaires. And one of these NGOs is Catholic Charities. And they came up with another name for the group that was doing these fundings. And that's what these folks do. The NGOs take the money in, and whoever donates the money, whatever, gets a tax credit for it. But then these NGOs, what they do is they split the money up amongst different groups, put them under different names that makes it sound like it's a good thing. Kind of like the Quality Leering Center up in Minneapolis. So this is their game plan. And it's not just what the activists, the secular activists are doing. It's what the religious activists are doing as well. So it's not just the Catholic NGOs are doing this. The Lutheran NGOs and the other non-aligned NGOs were doing this as well. So the media doesn't get the whole story when they try to blame this on a couple of billionaires, trying to look for a communist takeover of the world. The Catholic Church and the other churches are in on it too. We got to stop this, folks. I don't think Jesus ever wanted the world to be communist. I think Jesus loved the idea of the individual rising up, not being pushed down. Jesus came to release us from these things. Why are we denying Jesus, especially in this week before Easter? Why is this being allowed? Why is this being promoted by people who are supposed to be looking for the quality and the betterment of the individual? But what they want to do is suppress the individual and the aspirations to become part of this humbled mass of people that can't risk raising their head up to try to rise up out of their mire. Otherwise, they'll be put back down. This isn't good. This isn't good at all. But what has happened is a lot of these people are coming out looking for these virtue signals and things like this, and they will take the virtue signal even if it's not even true at all, and it's a self-inflicted, like this situation with the boot on the head. Our world is in trouble. Our world is in confusion, and our people are looking for comfort, and they're looking for something that makes them feel good. And this is such a narcissistic kind of situation we're in right now that it's all about me and not about what's the greater good. So when they're coming out and complaining about people in our government now acting like kings, I think they are willfully ignoring the facts of the last 50 years. We just got out of a presidency with a man who had been in government for 50 years. When he finally got to be president, whether he was president or somebody else was acting in his place, what did they do? Well, they went into shutdowns. The government came in and started shutting businesses down. They started censoring people. They arrested people who stood out and spoke out. All the while, when they suppressed the little guy, they exalted the big guy, and they let the bigger companies and all like this, operate, whereas they shut down the mom and pops because they could. And this is what totalitarians do. This is what a king would do under rule. But the people out there now wanting to talk about this no kings, they don't want to think about how we got here. So complete memory lapse. Maybe they're heavy drinkers. Maybe they had some sort of thing happen in their life. They have to forget all that happened. But we have to remind them. And we have to remind them very continually. And this is where you have to continue to not get physical with people, but mock them. Because the mocking and the ridicule is the one thing they can't stand. And it's the only thing that makes them react in a way that makes them shake their head a little bit and say, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? And then reality starts to set in a little bit. Because in these moments when they still resist you, a little bit on the inside hit the target and they realize, that the truth is the truth and they can't stop that. So we're in a tough situation right now. It's Holy Week. Let's get into it. It's Tuesday of Holy Week. Thursday's coming up. Friday, especially a big day, Good Friday. So in the meantime, pay attention to what matters and try to cut down on some of the outside noise. But don't let people feed you a bullshit sandwich and tell you it's turkey and cheese. All right? In the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.